Hello. First tonight, the border agency is claiming a major victory after 4 members of the same family were convicted of immigration offences.
Ping Pong and his family built a number of successful businesses using illegal foreign labour. The border agency says he got rich by cheating the taxpayer and by treating the immigration rules with contempt. This report from Richard Daniel.
October 2007, young Fat Pun sets off the fire alarm at the Temptation Chinese buffet in Ipswich. But there is no fire. This is a raid by police and border agency officers. The fire alarm, a signal for illegal workers from China and Malaysia to strip off their uniforms. Barely 5 months later, more raids at another of the family's businesses, the Lucky Star Takeaway in Hawthorne Drive in Ipswich. Here, workers were found cowering under the counter and even hiding in a loft space. Ipswich Crown Court heard how young Fat Pun and his father, Ping Wun Pun, housed the illegal immigrants at 2 addresses in the town. The raids led to a complex investigation spanning 2 years that uncovered fraud and money laundering.
Well, we suspect that these people have made a great deal of money out of circumventing every piece of legislation that's designed to protect vulnerable people who come here and perhaps don't have the same legal protection that citizens and other people entitled to work do. They've not only made money out of that, they've made money out of defrauding banks, out of using the brand names of well-known manufacturers of goods and of laundering money.
4 members of the Pun family were found guilty of breaching immigration laws, along with the manager of the Temptation Chinese buffet, Ivy Ong. The authorities are now working to seize the proceeds of their crimes. All 5 will be sentenced next month. Richard Daniel, BBC Look East.
Well, Sam Bullimore is an inspector with the border agency. He's in Nottingham now. This presumably is not uncommon. How many illegal workers do we think we have in this country?
It's very difficult to tell, as you probably identified yourself, without actually, by dint of the fact that they are illegal immigrants. It's hard to actually assess how many people are in the UK. Where we do find people in the UK, as in this case, we'll deal with them, and we'll deal, more importantly, with the kind of people like Mr Pun who were bringing them here or exploiting them in the first place.
This would have appeared to be an expensive operation, lots of police, lots of your agency involved in it. Wouldn't it be better to spend that money stopping people getting into the country in the first place?
Well, I think the government spend a lot of money at borders. My border force colleagues will tell you about the technology at borders. For us in country, our aim is to actually disrupt, to degrade the organised crime groups that are actually exploiting people, exerting a pull factor, trafficking them in, facilitating them in, providing them with false documentation and the rest of it. We feel that if we can actually get rid of that component of this business, we can have a real impact on wider issues.
And what happens to those workers who were found in these raids?
A lot of them may actually submit claims for asylum. That's the kind of sort of area that you're getting into. Where they're actually been committing offences, it may be that they're working on false identity cards as well, and they'll be prosecuted for that offence.
Is there anything that most of us can do if we suspect that somebody is using illegal workers, or is it just something that you shouldn't get involved in?
No, of course it's something that you should speak to the authorities about. You can either speak to the UK Border Agency direct, or if you prefer you can speak to Crime Stoppers. It will filter back to our intelligence units, and then product will come out to us, and we'll look to make an impact, as we have done in this case.
And are there any countries in particular where these illegal workers are coming from?
Well, I think it's probably sort of well established. We get a lot of people from places like India, China, Vietnam. But really, the issue is the people that are exploiting them, the people that are trafficking them, they don't care where they're from, they just care that they're a unit to shift and make a lot of money out of them. So while it's not really important to them, those are the kinds of nationalities that we're seeing most of.
Mr Bullimore, thank you very much.
Thank you.
A Royal Anglian soldier has died from wounds he suffered in an explosion in Afghanistan last month. The soldier, who's not yet been named, was injured in a blast in Helmand province. He died last night at the Selly Oak Army Hospital in Birmingham. 3 men have been arrested on suspicion of armed robbery after a raid at a shop in Ipswich at the weekend. This afternoon, Suffolk Police said all 3 are in custody awaiting questioning. Contractors working on a controversial guided busway in Cambridgeshire have been meeting councillors to sort out a list of problems. Last week, the council published a damning report which showed the work was well over budget and long overdue. We'll hear from one of the councillors in a moment. But first, this report from Janine Machin.
A city at gridlock. This is the congestion that the guided busway was supposed to relieve. First suggested a decade ago, the idea was to build a route between St Ives and Addenbrooke's Hospital along a former railway line. Despite controversy, construction on what would be the world's longest guided busway started in 2007. It was due to open in spring 2009. It didn't. The date was pushed back to last summer and then to November. But here we are, well into 2010, and Cambridge's guided busway is still very much busless. Problems such as flooded cycle paths and car parks and concerns over the track's foundations have been blamed for the hold-up. Even bus operators have plastered their frustrations on their buses. But can anyone answer their question? Last week, the Transport Minister okayed plans for a similar route between Luton and Dunstable, saying that lessons have been learned from the Cambridge scheme. But surely to learn lessons, you must first know what went wrong.
So what did go wrong? Well, earlier this afternoon I spoke to Councillor Roy Pegram from Cambridgeshire County Council and put it to him that he must feel the whole project is a total embarrassment.
No, not at all. It's a major civil engineering project and the undertaking has hit some issues and snags and some defects.
Sorry to interrupt, but you're talking about issues and snags here, but what we've got are the foundations that you're unsure about, the cycleway underwater, a project that is over a year late and costing millions of more pounds than you estimated.
No, not at the moment. The issue, I agree with you on the maintenance track. I don't agree with you that there isn't an engineering solution towards the foundations. All I want is satisfaction that they will stand up to the original specification of the project and that they will not let us down and increase our maintenance costs in the years to come.
When you talk about they, you're meaning the contractor, are you?
I'm meaning the contractor giving us that undertaking.
And
yes.
I know that you've blamed the contractor for not fulfilling things that you think should have been fulfilled, but as the local council, you are responsible and accountable to the people living and working in your area, and they are very frustrated at this.
I take on board their concerns. I too am frustrated. We have now reached agreement with the contractor that we can move these issues forward in a reasonable time frame.
The reasonable time frame, that's the question, isn't it? Because I've got some timetables here of the actual buses when they should stop at the stop. So all that seems to be on order. You can get those off the internet. But what we don't know, as far as timing is concerned, is when the track will open. Can you help us with that?
No, I can't. The contractor has to have the guideway fit for us to take over and to sign off. Once that is done, the bus companies will then require a further period of training, both day and night, for their drivers and staff to ensure that they are riding safely on that busway.
So before the end of the year then, Councillor Pegram, can we see this busway up and running before the end of the year?
I sincerely hope to see it before the end of summer. Yes, indeed.
Councillor Pegram, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Well, still to come tonight, getting ready for sport relief with